This is an annoying pop-up you've probably seen in some shape or form in the past week. In order to access this content, you're going to need to confirm your identity. Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, and even Spotify are now age-gating a lot of their content. And sadly, the UK's Online Safety Act is to blame for this and is quickly proving to be as effective as WinRAR telling you that your free trial is over. Please pay for it. Or like a cookie pop-up telling you to accept cookies or pay. There's always a way around it, right? Most people know how to get around this regardless of how old they are, as I'll show you later. But this goes way beyond just annoying pop-ups, because the way this law works has some serious implications for privacy, censorship, and the future of how we browse the internet, regardless of where you live. And it's looking like the effect of this law might just be making kids less safe online. Ironic. My name is Evan Edinger, and if you want to know what is going on and also wanted some more practical tips on using the internet in 2025 to avoid all of this nonsense, well, let's dive in. 18 million pounds. That's a lot of money. On July 25th, the UK's Online Safety Act officially kicked in. Part of this law requires certain platforms of a certain size to prove that users accessing adult or potentially harmful content are over 18. If platforms are found to not comply with this law, they're hit with a fine of up to 18 million pounds, which is why so many platforms you wouldn't expect have suddenly sprung up these pop-ups, just out of precaution. This has been done in the name of keeping children safe, which of course has never been used as an excuse for increased government surveillance, right? No, we just want to keep the children safe, as always. Let's take a look at one of these pop-ups together and see what exactly they want from us. For this example, let's say I want to look for some saucy content. I am an adult, I'm in my 30s, and right now I'm thinking of visiting r/dark jokes. Yeah, just like a bit of dark humor, what's wrong with that? Oh, well, supposedly, this subreddit has been age-gated to protect the children. But you can imagine for yourself, maybe one of the more sexual subreddits is also blocked. Well, I met with this very pop-up. We need some information to confirm your identity. Oh, okay. So I just need to provide either my government-issued ID or a photo of my face every time I wish to look at adult content. That could never have any negative repercussions, right? Right before I'm like in the mood to bash one out, I just want to look at my face in a selfie, kind of like debate. What are you doing with your life, mate? There's gonna be like a collection of just sad-looking men desperate to get their fix. Just a selfie of like, it's me, please. Please give me, need goon. Who exactly are we giving our ID to, though? Any sort of UK regulatory body or anything? No, they've just let that up to the platforms to deal with. The UK government thought it would be actually great if you just give it to a random third-party website based in the US where there's no GDPR protections. Keeping everybody's data safe, children and adults. Reddit, for instance, uses Persona, which is a third-party company based in the USA, a country without any GDPR protections. So, in order to listen to certain songs or read certain dark jokes or even just scroll most of Twitter, the UK government would like you to provide your most private information to a US-based company to keep safe. Good plan. Even though we have countless examples of companies claiming to keep your data protected, how many times do I have to talk about this on this channel? They claim to keep your data protected, easily getting hacked, with all the information then being leaked on the dark web, and we're being told, oh, just trust this new company. It's fine. It doesn't matter that you're also using it to look for content that might be a little saucy. 6.5 million. That's the number of people whose data was recently leaked from the UK supermarket chain Co-op's data breach this month. Don't worry, they're keeping your data safe, guys. I mean, that was just 6.5 million people's names, addresses, phone numbers. Why not add some sexual info into the mix? That'll be sure to keep us safe online. But then again, that's not the kind of blackmail the police are usually targeting. Also this month, over 70,000 women's selfies, government IDs, and geolocations just leaked from the T app, an app supposedly designed to keep women safe. And now those same women are being targeted. Ironic and sad. And hey, it's not just these companies having the issue. The news also just broke that our very own Ministry of Defense suffered a data leak, which has caused tens of thousands of those affected to genuinely fear for their lives. Data privacy is important, even if the UK government doesn't seem to think it is. So when you're told to compromise your online privacy even further and dox yourself to a random American company, you have to ask, well, at least it's effective at keeping kids safe, right? No. My biggest problem with this law is just how ineffective it is at what it's supposedly trying to do. The least it could do is protect the children until their data is then inevitably leaked when they're older. Hopefully, when they're older at least. But no, it actually makes it so much worse. The main element of this law aims to protect children from pornographic content or content promoting self-harm or eating disorders. On the surface, that is a very noble cause. Can't argue with that. Similar to if I said, I don't think children should be struck by lightning, so therefore my solution is children shouldn't be able to go outside. I just don't want kids struck by lightning. Wait, do you? We just need to tell the kids what not to do. As we all know, when kids are told not to do something, they love listening to adults, right? They do exactly what they're told. When I was 16, I had a computer programming class in high school. Like most kids, I'd usually goof around on gaming websites in my spare time, like Miniclip or FlashPlayer.com. That is until the school system administrator banned those websites, so I never was able to visit them again at school. Just kidding. No, I just quickly Googled how to get around this and found a good proxy to use and had fun for another few weeks until the system administrator banned that proxy. But at this point, I'd found 50 different proxies to use and I had later found a way to use a VPN, so I was never once really held back from doing what I wanted to do on the internet, and I was 16 years old. I think this law really goes to show just how stupid the UK government think people under 18 are, as if people under 18 couldn't possibly make any sort of value judgment until the moment of their 18th birthday. Age 17? Age 7? Very much the same in the eyes of the government. Well, except when it comes to the trivial decision of joining the armed forces. That's okay at 16. It's not really a big decision, is it? Oh, or also voting. In fact, the government just recently lowered the voting age to 16, so you're smart enough to vote, smart enough to go to war, but you're not really smart enough to spend 30 seconds going around these pop-ups. We just gotta keep you safe, kids. It just seems like the problem, kids are accessing potentially unsafe content, and the solution, everyone must provide a random third-party company from the US a photo ID and a list of your kinks. Those ideas aren't really compatible. And considering how easy it is to go around these checks either with a VPN or by taking a selfie of a video game character, yes, this literally has been happening all this week. This is so clearly a poorly thought out law. Despite coming from the US, the last 12 years of my life living in the UK have helped me to grow to appreciate the UK and EU government's more cautionary approach to protecting their citizens and their citizens' rights. Food safety, consumer rights, usually privacy rights, are so much better over here. But this law is such a poor fit, it just becomes obvious it's another uneducated attempt at surveillance under the guise of protecting the children. The UK here is saying that they'd rather put the private data of all of their citizens at risk in exchange for adding a few clicks between harmful content and the person under 18 that wants to view it. It just doesn't seem to fit. And by pushing the general populace, including those under 18, into the arms of whatever free VPN they can find, the UK government is actually increasing their online safety risk drastically. As we'll discuss later in this video, free VPNs do not really have a good track record for actually securing your data. You never know what you're gonna get. A VPN is supposed to not keep logs of your internet traffic, but some of them very much do, and that data can become incredibly valuable and fetches quite a high price on many darknet markets, and most people under 18 probably aren't going to be wanting to pay for a safer VPN. Who would? Why would you want to pay for a VPN if there's this one that's free? I'm sure it's not that bad. For instance, you ever heard of Unavoidable? It was a free VPN app from 2012 that's entire pitch was helping you secure your data. Sounds great. You could hypothetically keep your private data safe and even get around those governmental guardrails on your internet access. And it was all for free. What's not to love? Well, except it was bought by Facebook in 2013, and rather than actually keeping your data safe, it rerouted every single activity it did on the internet through Facebook's servers, so Facebook could, better spy on its competitors, see exactly what you were doing, and study it. Snapchat, however, well, they encrypted their users' data, which made Facebook angry. So Zuckerberg got his team to find a way to capture everything people using the Unavoidable VPN were sending on Snapchat before it got encrypted, and then they used this information to steal Snapchat's IP and introduced Instagram stories right thereafter. Love a happy ending, don't you? So the effect of this law, slightly decreasing the chance someone under 18 may see some boobies in their feeds, is drastically increasing the chance that they instead experience identity theft and data harvesting. That, and there's already been multiple reports from the BBC that some news from Ukraine and Gaza have been blocked for people under 18. I guess they shouldn't have the right to be informed on what's going on in the world. That's for adults to worry about. They're just dumb kids, right? They're just dumb kids. Dumb kids that can vote. Dumb kids that can go to war. I understand we shouldn't be pushing that as much, but the idea of keeping information from people that want to look at it on the internet, it's a bit China, right? Just a little bit China. Just a little bit China. Also, it's not just that this news is being blocked from people under 18. It's also being blocked from people that are adults that don't want to dox themselves. This feels like a video in which I'm going hey guys, hurting children is bad. If you didn't see my previous video on the topic, the UK government also recently demanded that Apple build them a backdoor into iPhone and iCloud users' end-to-end encrypted messages, which itself is a hilarious request, as that's not how end-to-end encryption works. If a backdoor did exist at all, well, it would be able to be used by nefarious actors also trying to get into your phone, thus destroying everyone's online privacy around the globe, all in the name of protecting the children. Can you believe it? This sort of request just looks so embarrassing to the UK on the world stage. And the fact that Keir Starmer even tried bringing this up during trade talks this past week with the US makes this look even stupider. He might as well have asked, oh, can the US delete this embarrassing photo of me from the internet? Yeah, yeah, cool. That's how the internet works. It shows we're a really intelligent nation that understands technology. The fact that UK Prime Minister can have a meeting with US President Donald Trump and somehow make Trump seem smart is depressing to me. Trump described the UK's request as, quote, something that you hear about with China. Great. Now I'm agreeing with Donald Epstein Files Trump. Thanks, Keir. And even though the petition to repeal the Online Safety Act received well over 400,000 signatures so quickly, the UK government have already responded with a no. Because that's kind of what they do. And yes, I have been ragging on the UK government quite a lot in this video. It is still currently my right to free speech. Praise what they get right and criticize what they get wrong. I've scoured through the parliamentary debate archives looking for any MP or Lord to voice the obvious issues with the Online Safety Act, but there were not many. I mean, I'm sure at this point you've seen this graph showing how often people in the UK have been searching for VPN on Google. Well, now look at this one. Interesting. If you search for how often the term VPN was used in Parliament, you can begin to see why we might have a problem. It's like no one has a clue what they're doing in there. The last time the term VPN was used was well over a year and a half ago. But I mean, when we look at how they're talking about VPNs, it's not actually going to make you feel any better. I've got two examples to show you. My lords, I would like to say something very quickly on VPN. I had a discussion with some teenagers recently who were all prepared for this bill. I was quite surprised that they knew a lot about it. Just another example of the UK government being surprised that people under 18 aren't incredibly stupid and are informed about the bull that Parliament is trying to force on them. Gasp. What? Did your mother tell you this? How did you figure this out? Anyway, they said, don't worry, we figured out a way to get around it. Have you heard of a... I can't believe he said, have you heard of VPN? There's no way he doesn't know. It's not VP... Honey, are you gonna play some Nintendo? Can you go check on Google? These teenagers, they were talking to me about this hacker named 4chan. I heard VPN is this cool website. They said, don't worry, we've worked out a way around it. Have you heard of VPN? It reminded me of a visit to China, where I asked a group of students how they dealt with censorship and not being able to Google. They said, don't worry about it, and showed me VPN. It is right that they draw attention to that. There is a danger to inadvertently forcing people on the unregulated dark web and into areas they might not imagine. That is why we have to be careful and proportionate in our response. Quite a twist there, isn't it? Seems to not have any idea what he's talking about, and yet he still is like, maybe we shouldn't be pushing people towards the dark net in some regards. Thanks for trying. Your heart was in the right place. But on that point, yeah, there's a reason why you think that Chinese people using a VPN to get around their great firewall of China is similar to this situation. Because it is the same thing. If you try and place restrictions on people's freedoms to access the internet, when the restrictions can be easily removed with a click of a button, what made you think this law would be in any way effective? And one of the only other times the term VPN was uttered in Parliament was this. We have an amendment in this group which seeks to block access to VPNs as well. We are in danger of putting ourselves in the same position as China, with a hermetically sealed national internet, attempting to put borders around it so that nobody can breach it. I'm assured that even in China, this does not work, and that clever and savvy people simply get around the barriers that the state has erected for them. Well, thanks for trying, guy. When the idea of banning VPNs was brought up, Lord Malin seemed to have upset everybody in the House of Lords by suggesting blocking access to VPNs puts us in danger of being in the same position as China, and that these methods do not work, and that clever or savvy people simply get around the barriers. But you don't need to be clever or savvy to be able to spend 5 seconds Googling how to get around this annoying problem. This isn't 1990, where you'd have to check out books from your local library or be a super tech enthusiast. It's 2025. This just goes to show how, despite all the newer MPs coming in that might be younger and might understand a lot of how it works, most of the lords, most of the MPs, they're not quite there when it comes to modern technological issues. They might see some sort of ideological thing like, protect the kids, and then not have any idea how to implement that effectively, and I guess ignore every person that is an expert in the field and just go, but protect the kids? I can sense from all the debates that I've looked into that MPs and lords do realize that social media, in its current form, thanks to its ever-worsening algorithms, can be a really awful place for everyone, not just children, but that people under 18 are being affected more by it. That is true, yes. But no matter how many times they say this bill is to protect children, the bill is truly just not fit for purpose. So what are you doing? But now I'm going to tell you the information that the UK government don't want you to know. How to actually protect your private data when you're online in multiple methods. One tip that I usually use is I never give my real name and my real number ever on those websites that ask for it if I don't trust them. Just provide random information. Come up with a fun, silly little name that doesn't really matter. In terms of email addresses, if you haven't already, Proton is a really good free anonymous email provider that you can use. But aside from that, I know that on iPhone and the Apple ecosystem, for instance, it's really easy to use this iCloud feature that allows you to generate a random email address to use for these websites so that you don't have to give your real information out. That is always a good tip. Also, always use an ad blocker to block malicious software from running on your computer. I personally use AdGuard, and I've made an entire video, or the second half of a video, about internet tips like that, so I recommend watching that if you haven't. Secondly, and this is something I'm so surprised that people still do, whenever you search Google, which I don't know who is still searching Google in this year of our Lord because it's so shit now, but if you are searching Google or Amazon or whatever, you need to learn to skim over the word sponsored. Do not click it. So many of these results now are just sponsored. And you might say, well, Evan, what if that's what I actually want? What if I actually want what's in the sponsored link? How do you know that? You don't actually know what's in that sponsored link because Google has just accepted whoever's given them the most money. You don't actually know if that's what you want because Google has gone through so much enshittification at this point that there's a very strong chance it is actually a harmful website that is trying to look like the website that you want. Google is more than happy to accept advertising money from these scam websites in exchange for putting these scam websites at the top of your search results so that you click them first. There have been numerous stories of this happening, and there are entire YouTube channels dedicated to showing this sort of thing. And it happens from people searching for the phone number for their bank, or maybe the phone number for customer support for their computer, only to click on the first link, which they assumed was safe, because it's Google, right? But that first link is just a scam farm run out of somewhere in India, and it all seems so legitimate that you find yourself giving your financial details to a guy about to drain your entire bank account. Listen, I know it's annoying, but you just need to be more proactive about never clicking on sponsored posts. If they're not blocked by AdBlock or AdGuard or your Brave browser or whatever, then you just need to learn to skim past them without consuming the content and only click on what you're actually looking for that no one has paid to put in front of you. In the rare event I see an ad and it surprisingly is something I'm interested in, I always type the content of the ad in manually in an incognito window so the advertiser has less of a chance of knowing I had any interest in their product. Also, I'm hoping to make a video in the future about my tips for using ChatGPT for this purpose, because at the moment, I find it to be the best possible thing to get your search results that you actually want. Because Google has become such a pile of shit the last couple of years that unless you like spending 10 minutes of your time sifting through AI slop and advertisements, well, I feel like you just have to use AI as a tool to cut through. Like fighting fire with fire. If that is a video you're interested in, please leave me a comment. Also, I know you think it's easier and more convenient and doesn't really matter, but please, for the love of God, do not use SMS or text messages or even email for your two-factor authentication. It is great that you have turned it on to better secure your account, so a user needs both your password and your phone to log into your account. But it is so much easier than you think to spoof text messages and to get your telecom provider to change your SIM card so an attacker can easily get your code texted to them instead. And then there goes your account and whatever else is inside of it. And if you're ever using the same password across multiple sites, the risk of someone successfully getting into your account is so much higher. Just use the Google Authy app or Apple's built-in two-factor authentication to generate a code. You download the Authy app, you scan the QR code when enabling two-factor authentication, and you're secure. Now, if anyone does get your login information from some sort of data leak, they won't be able to access your account without that one app on your specific phone. It's just a no-brainer. This is a modern internet router. I feel like a lot of problems could be prevented if more people knew how their devices actually worked. If you ever wanted to know more about how this works or how a VPN actually works, well, let me explain that to you while talking about today's video sponsor, NordVPN. How convenient. Let's say you click to visit youtube.com. Your device sends a signal to your router, which goes to your modem. Sometimes the router and modem are packaged together these days, but either way, this goes to your internet service provider or ISP. There are some steps I'm skipping here, but I'm trying to keep it simple. Your ISP then uses all the information it can get from your device to better locate you as it attempts to connect you to the closest server that houses the data you're looking for. In your case, this is to load YouTube, and your IP address is broadcast publicly so that YouTube knows where to send the data back to. Who wants to visit YouTube? This IP address. Now, at this point, most websites like YouTube use HTTPS, so the connection back to your device is encrypted. But your ISP, on the other hand, they're constantly keeping logs of every site you connect to and every IP address connected to you. When your ISP delivers you data from a server located within the UK, the data from there must adhere to UK law, no matter how Orwellian. But when you first connect to a VPN, like NordVPN, your request to visit youtube.com is instead encrypted from your device first, as it flows to your ISP, who then route that connection to NordVPN, who carry on fulfilling your request. Your ISP can only see that you've requested to access one of NordVPN's servers and everything else is kind of scrambled to them. Unlike your ISP, NordVPN is not keeping or sharing logs of your IP addresses. In the case of the Online Safety Act, connecting to Reddit without a VPN sends back one of Reddit's UK servers, meaning it must have the adult content blocked behind those silly ID pop-ups. But if you choose to connect to one of NordVPN's over 7,000 servers around the world, let's say Germany, well, you're instead routed to the Reddit server located there, where their government hasn't yet attempted to violate the privacy of their citizens. Not yet. And yes, this is a sponsored section of the video, so take that with what you will, but not every VPN is equal in terms of speed, and not every VPN is equal in terms of privacy. And with this new law, I'm probably going to end up using NordVPN a lot more than usual just to freely access the internet. So if you'd like to sign up to be able to access the internet again, without needing to dox yourself at least, sign up at nordvpn.com/Evan and you get a huge discount on a 2-year plan. Thanks NordVPN for sponsoring. Let me wrap this up. Here's an interesting thought. Look at this chart. Everyone in the UK has been downloading VPNs this past week to change their browsing location. Look at that spike. I can only wonder if the UK passing this law will actually cause a significant dent in UK-based businesses. If you think about it, UK companies are targeting UK internet users to advertise to them, but all of a sudden, the UK users they're trying to reach are pinging servers in a different country, so they have way fewer people to market to. So the UK government isn't just trying to make its citizens' lives harder here in the name of protecting children, it's also making it way harder for UK businesses to succeed. Tale as old as time. And hey, I heard MPs are very easy to contact, so if this is something you disagree with, maybe spend a couple minutes contacting your MP about this matter. I'll leave a link in the description so you can find your local and maybe sound off. My prediction, though, doesn't take rocket scientists to say. We'll see another big data leak at some point in the near future, and we'll all be told, well, there's no way we could have seen this coming. Can we have a back door, please? Just to keep you safe. Can we have a back door, please? Can we have a back door, please? Please let us spy on our citizens more, please. Please. It's to protect the children, please. That's it. It's a wrap.